Ms. Erskine.
Chris, again, did you steal my notes? Okay, so Chris, when we first met, we met in my backyard while you were knocking on doors, and we had many good discussions about many of the issues, and one of the issues was about Bill C51. And I asked you, as a lawyer, did you believe that our civil liberties were being taken for granted and were being eroded as we were speaking about the charter?
As a lawyer, I have concerns about this legislation. I'll be honest, there are some problems with it. My concerns are about the definitions. The definitions are overly broad. But we also looked at this from a policy standpoint and said, you know what, this bill does some things very well, like making our intelligence agencies speak to one another, like allowing for preventative arrest if there's reason to do so. Our national security legislation hasn't been updated since 2001, and it required a refresh. We need to do more. We need to go back and we need to fix the mistakes. And we put all of these issues forward at committee, at Parliament, and the NDP and Conservatives voted against them. And it's time for national oversight of our intelligence agencies by Parliament, by elected officials.
So you immediately followed that up with, yes, you thought they were, and that the language was very vague. And you also told me that you thought that the Conservatives under Rick Dykstra and Mr. Harper were using the same fear-mongering tactics, very similar to our party of the NDP. We were using the fear-mongering that we were telling everyone that their Charter of Rights and their civil liberties were being eroded. And of course, on the other hand, everyone was going to be a terrorist under your government.
Sue, I don't see the charter being an issue at this particular point with this particular legislation. We're going to act to avoid any issues that.
Why did you sign on to it in the first place?
We signed on to it to protect Canadians. It's a government's job to protect Canadians, and we're looking for middle ground to balance civil liberties on one hand while protecting Canadians on the other. This legislation, our national security legislation, requires a refresh, but we need to do more. We need oversight by Parliament. We need elected officials to go in and look at things. The question back to you is, why did the NDP vote against having elected officials at a parliamentary committee look at our intelligence agencies? Why?
Because we also know that civil liberties is a huge thing. We have to stay with that.
Civil liberties
so would I be considered a terrorist? Because I have to tell each and every one of you, I'm a very avid protester. Am I an economic risk to our security, to our government? That's the kind of thing that I'm going to be facing with. Our Indigenous people who are fighting for the pipelines for environmental rights, they're going to be considered terrorists of the economics.
Why
are we doing that?
Thank you.